Great. So can you see the screen? I mean, can you see the notebook? Is it on the notebook?
No, sir.
So does the link work for you?
Sir, no, sir.
All right, so let me send it again. One moment. One moment. Let me go back. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. How do you go back? Let me just go to Mr. Thompson's classes. Right. Because I want you guys to see the book as I'm scrolling through it, right? So let me go here. Perfect. All right. Hold on. Mr. Thompson's classes. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So let me send you the link, copy URL, right? And then you're going to try again and click on it for me. Right? The second one. So it says,
Excuse me, sir.
huh?
Can I have 10 minutes to do something? I'll come back, sir.
All right, sure, no problem. The class is recorded, so you're good. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So Tristan, welcome, Tristan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Do me a favor and click on this notebook, right? And you'll get teleported, well, you get transported now to the book that we're using, or my notebook that we're using. So let's get started. Is everyone on the book? Is everyone there? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So, all right, so tell me what you see on the screen. You see recording 1 photosynthesis, and you see some other bullet points that says recording 2 and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I'm the only person that is allowed to move the textbook. So you're just gonna keep your screen there, and whatever I move, you just follow along. All right. So let's get started with topics. We're gonna go in topics. Let's close up everything first. All right. So let's understand now specifically what food chain means. So when that plant eventually makes its food from photosynthesis that we discussed last week and a while ago, right? That plant now is something called an autotroph. Have you ever heard of that word before? Autotroph. Right? So when you think of automechanic, right? You think of something that's moving or something that's doing work. So essentially what autotroph means for a plant is it does work to create its own food. Right? So a plant is classified, so write this on me. A plant is classified as a autotroph because it produces its own food. That's the first note I wanted to have. So everything in green that you see, let me color it in green. Everything you see in green will be the notes that you take. Everything you see in blue will be the topics that we're going to go through. So the notes in green you take. So let's go through now. A plant is classified as an autotroph because it produces its own food. Let's understand now what specifically, how does living organisms such as tigers even relate to a measly thing like a flower, right? So both of them can be characterized as living things, correct? Correct?
Can you repeat that, please?
All right, sir. Let me type it. So you're going to take this note from me. Both animals and plants can be characterized as living organisms. Right? So when we say a plant is a living organism, we essentially means that it has life. It doesn't mean that you have a soul, so it won't come kill you or anything, but it has life because it does its own purpose, has purpose, right? So essentially now, all living organisms, plants and animals, are interdependent because plants take food from the sun, hereby autotrophic because it makes its food, right? And then animals such as herbivores comes now and eat that plant and indirectly take the sunlight and the food that the plant created, right? Depending on which type of animal, which is called herbivore. Then now the wild animal, carnivores and omnivores like tiger or human beings come and eat that herbivore, such as like a turtle or any other type of animal like that, right? And then when the carnivores like us die, we get buried in the ground. Is that correct? Like when you go to a funeral, you see people buried in the ground, correct?
Yes, sir.
So essentially, it's a cycle. We take from the ground and then we get sent back to the ground. It's a vicious poem. But that's essentially why we call, let's create a note. That is essentially why we call this process a food chain / cycle, right? Because food begins from plants, and when carnivores or omnivores, right? Because carnivores could basically be eating plants as well. So when you have a carnivore that eats meat and also grass and plants, such as humans, right? We call ourselves omnivores. So we're classified as both terms. Omnivores, right? We essentially return back to the earth to begin another cycle. Okay. All right. So your notes should be there, right? So then now, so all of these living organisms essentially we're saying depend upon plants directly and indirectly. So give me an example of a directly dependence on plants. Give me an animal that would directly depend on plants. It need plants to survive. Give me an animal like that.
Insects.
So giraffe,
Some
sir.
insects.
Right, giraffes, insects, goats, right? LeBron James. I'm just kidding. But yeah, those things need plants because you're herbivores, right? But in the case of carnivores, now give me 2 examples of carnivores.
Lions, sir.
Right, lions. Exactly. So lions now would eat that giraffe, and they actually do. I watched a video on it. It was very interesting. They eat that giraffe, and then eventually, because lions have no predators, right? They essentially die of natural causes or battle from other lions or different animals, right? But they don't get eaten. They get killed. But now when they die, their body becomes a stasis, right? So let's write that. Their body becomes a stasis after death for either small insects, right? Because you've seen those Natural Geographic videos where you see carcasses of big animals getting eaten by like birds and stuff, but their body becomes a stasis after death for either smaller carnivores, and then they rot back to the earth where plant life began. Okay, so that's the cycle we're trying to establish. All right, now that we understand the cycle, let's understand the principles. So we know that it goes back and forth, die and born again, die and born again. But what's the essential principle? Remember, a principle is basically a law or like I think something that governs it, right? So in order to understand the principle of food chain, we would need to classify, right, who is in that food chain or what it would be classified as. One moment, guys. Someone, the principal is calling. One moment.